vlog. Ugh. What is up, vlog? Today is what is up story time because I have a story time I've been keeping in the vault for a very long time, but something has reawakened the beast in me. It's literally okay. Hold on. I wore the good vibes sweatshirt to bring good vibes to the function, and I have a shirt the man involved in the story bought for me to bring bad vibes to the function. So I was thinking like a yin yang thing, but I'm actually really overheated and I'm gonna take this off because I just wore it for the intro. This is the shirt he bought me. He wanted me to be a hoe. Like he knew it was my destiny. Ugh. Okay, that's better. Vlog. Today is the story. Listen, this is the story. Ideally, I'm posting this on Valentine's Day if I get it edited. So I wanted to sympathize with all the people out there who don't have a Valentine, and this is not a good day for you. All of the people that get full of rage on this day, I'm here for you. I got you. Just sit down, relax, make yourself a little snack, and get ready because this is a long one. Okay, I got my notes. I was like, let me jot down some notes. I remember everything, and then I went and pulled up some receipts. Stay tuned. And then I ended up filling 3 pages on a Google Doc. So this is the story of the century. It starts long ago. My junior year of high school. And every year, as a band kid that didn't play band, I would go on this trip with all my friends and all of the other band people, and we would get a hotel room. I filmed a ton of my first videos in a hotel room on that same trip this last year. So the year before that was a little bit more eventful. One of my exes was on this trip, but like we were friends, we were chill again. It was like everything was cool, okay? And I had started hanging out with one of his best friends, okay? I started talking with one of his best friends because we had, as a friend group, thrown a Galentine's Day party, and since then I had seen him at like a couple other things, and like the whole group hung out. Like there was a group of like 12 of us, so I saw him quite a bit, and so we had hung out a couple times. He had gotten my number from a group chat and we had been texting, okay? And we weren't texting like that yet, so don't even start. I will diss myself harder than you can possibly think of, so I don't even want to hear it. This man I had already seen before, and that was the year before that, my sophomore year at prom, when I was with that ex, and he pulled up at our prom for some reason. When I saw him, I was like, oh my god, that was my kindergarten boyfriend. You're right, ladies and gentlemen, my kindergarten boyfriend resurfaced 10 years later. Isn't that funny? And so, oh, I am so excited to put this on the internet. So I'm messaging him. None of my close friends like him, but the friend group likes him, right? And so he's messaging me and he's like, oh, I should just come down on the trip. That would be fun. Keep in mind that trip was about an 1.5 hour drive from where we live. And I was like, no, like, what are you doing? He's like, no, like, I can just leave. We were 17. So just leaving your house and driving an hour in the middle of the night, because we were talking, it was like midnight by the time that we had this conversation, and he was just like, yeah, like, let me pop in the whip, his really expensive whip that he showed everybody that I knew, and he's like, let me pull up. And I was like, oh my god, how are you gonna finesse that? How are you gonna stay the night here? That's impossible because we paid for these hotel rooms. Like, they have like fucking security like beefed up at every door. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, what, we'll figure it out later. And so I, being the genius that I am, text my ex and ask if his best friend can stay with him if he comes to this band trip. And my ex immediately asked me if I was drunk. I was not, I was high. And so Look, I'm already turning red. This is the worst. This is probably my biggest flop. This was my flop era. I say it's now, but it was my junior year of high school, and you're about to see why. So my ex is in on it, and we are trying to get him to come down to this band trip. He successfully sneaks out of his house, and he's in his car, and I'm like, wait, oh my god, like, where are you gonna stay? Like, how are you gonna do this? And then that's where some weird things start to happen. He's like, it's fine, I know our band teacher. Apparently he had grown up with our band teacher and like knows her, and so he was like, I'll finesse it, like, don't even worry, I got this. And I was like, oh my god, no, you're not, I was totally joking, like, don't come down here. That's where this starts. And on that phone call, on like this whole night, it was me, Dylan, and Reese in a room, and my other friend at the time that I'm gonna call Karen. We love Karen at the time. Karen was our homegirl. Karen and I had been friends for about a year at this time. None of my other friends liked Karen either. So there's a running theme of decisions I was making my junior year that's gonna make a lot more of this make sense. Moral of the story, he doesn't come down. But me and Karen talked to him on FaceTime almost the whole night, and Dylan and Reese didn't like that. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry right now. I'm really sorry. Me and this man that we're gonna call, what do I even call him? What's something with drama? Dramatic boy names. Jack. You've never met a Jack that isn't a complete douchebag. So we have Karen and Jack, two very important characters in this story. This is bothering me too. Don't talk about it. I went to prom with Jack out of spite because everyone in my friend group said, don't do that, you can't do that to my ex, because they were mad that I was gonna go out with my ex who broke up with me. They were like, you can't do that to him, and I was like, yes I can. And so yes, Jack and I went to prom. It was a spite prom, and I had fun. So Jack and I go to prom, and right after that, like, apparently going to prom means you're dating, because he was basically like, yeah, like, we're dating after this. And I was like, okay, because everyone was already mad, but I was like, how could I make this worse? And that's what I did. So we start dating, we go out. So prom was on a Saturday night. He asked me out Monday. And I remember this because it was so close together. We go to this movie. It was a horror movie. It was like one of the Evil Dead movies. He books our seats in the back row, and I was like, I was planning on going to the movies, believe it or not. I was like, no, like, this is a sick movie. Let's watch it. And he was more like, in a little, actually, I'm not gonna say that. While we're in the backseat of these movies, I'm like, literally like, the entire time so that I can figure out what's going on, because I know my mom is going to ask me what happened in this movie. So I also Googled a summary on my way home. Hi, Mom. Okay, we start dating strong right after that, and like full blaze ahead, and I started getting weird texts really early on, and I'm gonna read you one of them. If I find the receipt for this, I'll also put it in here. It was a poem that he made it look like he wrote for me. If you were a scent, I'd draw longer breaths. If you were a taste, I shall eat more. If you were a dream, my life I shall sleep forever. I'm sorry, after this I knew he was crazy. Okay, don't look at me like that. I already knew. I thought making bad decisions was a personality trait, and it very much was for me. Not much has changed. It's all about to come full circle, and I'm about to tell you how all of this resurfaced and why I'm here telling you the story now, but we'll get to that later. It was really weird to me that, like, literally after maybe a week or two of dating, he made it very clear. He was like, if you ever break up with me, I want it to be over the phone. Like, don't do it in person. And I was like, absolutely not. But he was making a big deal, and he kept saying this. He said this probably 5 or 6 times our entire time dating, and we dated for probably like 5 or 6 months. He just made a really big deal about if I was going to break up with him, it should be over the phone. The incident, what I refer to as the incident, because this is really where everything started going downhill, even though the more I think about it, it was going downhill from the movies, was when Karen and I decided to go to this really cute parking garage where it's like a really pretty view of the city, and we're like, let's take like some dope ass pictures. And then before that, we went and got drinks, and then we went in the parking garage, and before we get out of the car to take pictures, I get a text from Chad, and he's like, where are you? And I look at Karen and I'm like, this is weird. And she's like, oh, I got a snap from him like 5 minutes ago, let's open it. And he DM'd her, where are you guys? And I just told her to be like, why are you stalking me? Just as a joke. Sounded funnier when we were there, and we're all like, oh, let's say that. And so she says, idiot, like, why are you stalking her? Not that serious, because they weren't that good of friends. We were friends, like, we were so tight. She went everywhere with me. So she would also hang out when Jack and I hung out. Did I call him Chad? I probably called him Chad in another story. Anyways, she would come along. So like the 3 of us had hung out maybe a couple times. Not enough times for them to be like this yet, because they get to be very good friends later. He doesn't take well to that, and I ask him, I'm like, serious? Like, why are you checking up on me? First you text me, and then you text Karen. I'm about to name drop so hard, I keep forgetting the names that I made up, so they might change a couple times throughout the course of this story. And so he says, well, I just noticed that your phone was at the place we got drinks at, and I saw that Karen's phone was at the parking garage, so I just thought that you lost your phone. And immediately I call bullshit, because I know that he's literally like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Why were you looking in the first place? And that's what I say. And he's like, I was just checking because of my anxiety. Brother, what? I literally, where's Snuggie? I need Snuggie for this. Okay, if I seem a little distracted too, it's because my feet are completely numb. I have a disease. It's fine. We have Snuggie. Where were we? Basically, I just got mad. I got mad at him for stalking me. I thought it was weird. I was like it didn't even like register in my brain. Didn't register in my brain. So like I just ignored him, and we went up to take pictures, and it's a tall parking garage. So by the time that we're at the top, I get a text that matters. I will pull up any receipts I can find. I get a text from him, and he's asking if I'm in a place where Karen can see what he says to me. Of course I was gonna tell her everything that he said, but like I said no. He asked why she's mad at him, and my first response was like, first of all, why do you care? Like literally, why does it matter? Why does it matter? But he was really taken off guard by her calling him an idiot and asking why he was stalking me. And I was like, okay, first of all, look, calm your little tits, because I told her to say that. And then he was like, oh, my bad, it's just she's been so hostile lately. That was the running theme of all of this, is he thought everyone was so hostile towards him. And it was like, okay, I was hostile later, but like not at this point. He had nothing to be worried about. Okay, this is really bothering me. I need to fix this. I'm gonna move this. So then he refers to a football game that had happened the week prior. Literally every time I name drop, I'm gonna have to bleep it out, and I'm so mad about it already. Jack went to a football game with me and Karen. Karen was a dancer, so she danced at halftime, and then she came and sat with us. Dylan shows up because he's my little band guy. He was playing his little instrument, and so Karen and I go say hi to him. And according to Jack, Karen gave him a weird look that was so hostile. She must be mad at him, when it wasn't that deep. It wasn't that deep, and I don't know why. I still don't know why that conversation happened. I don't know what his problem was. Like, honestly, he should have just, like, dicked her down right there. Like, I don't even understand. If they were gonna go out, they should have just gone out. That was red flag number 1. There's about to be a lot more. So Karen and I have a sleepover. I just name dropped again, and I'll probably cut it out, but I keep doing this, and it's making me madder than the story does. Karen and I were having a sleepover, so she came over to my house after we were done taking pictures. The whole thing was that he noticed that we were dressed up in our snaps too, which is another— okay, my camera just died, so if it's off, that's why. Let's pretend like I didn't just take a 30-minute break in between this. Karen and I get back to my place, and I'm getting like paragraphs from this man, like apologizing and like freaking out because I got mad at him. And I didn't get that mad. Like, I was in the mood to have a good time because I was hanging out with Karen. So like I was frustrated that he was like literally like starting a problem out of nowhere, but I didn't get that mad. I just told him like, I did tell him like, why are you coming for my best friend right now? Especially like, why would you do that when we're hanging out? And like, it was just bad timing, and I was more upset about his timing than anything else. So he's sending me paragraphs apologizing and like literally begging me to tell him why Karen was being so hostile. I'm getting so mad. You don't understand, I need my chapstick. And so I tell him, I'm like, literally nothing, just leave us alone. That's all I need right now. Just leave us alone and nothing is wrong. So I was a bit dismissive, but like, understand where I'm coming from. And then he ends it all with, it's cool though. Cool like COO. Like, he had a fascination with me being mixed, and so he adapted like his own black man persona and like kept making like a low-key racist comments the entire time we were together. That's not important to the story. It's just important to me that you know that. I tell Karen everything. Like, I literally have her reading the text. I literally have her helping me respond to him, which is probably why I came across so hostile. It sets in that he thinks she's mad at him, and the night ends at about 2:30 in the morning with her crying on my floor because my boyfriend just thinks that she's mad at him, but she's not. She's like, I just don't want people to think of me that way. Who? It like didn't register with me till later, and I was talking to one of my friends, and they were like, why is she so upset about him like thinking she's mad? Like, that's really weird. And then that's when I was like, this is red flag number 2. So we kept fighting for a couple days. Even after Karen was out of the picture, I was still upset that he was like kept checking my location because I just had Snap Map on. I didn't turn my location off because that's what he said. He was like, if you don't think I can handle it, turn my location off. And I was like, no, control yourself. Control yourself. Teach men to control themselves. Johnny Ray for president, 2024. I had it. But I was like, honestly, it's not even that deep. I just like asked to stop fighting about it because I was like, it's not worth stressing over that much. The morning after that sleepover, I woke up to 2 massive, I mean massive, like you had to scroll 3 times for each paragraph. It was insane. And I was like, this is not worth the stress. And I don't know why you're stressing so much over it, because I'm not even that mad. And I made that very clear. So since that, the reason I call it the incident is because after that night, it really felt like he was having a mental breakdown. I mean, in the most literal sense. Like, I know there's people that are like, I'm literally having a mental breakdown right now. Oh, like Snooki. But this man was actually like going through the thick of it after that. He was just so paranoid that everything was like a huge deal. Like, I would get paragraph texted over everything. So that was also just like getting on my nerves. Okay, I'm just a girl. It got on my nerves. And I was getting paragraph text almost daily. That's the only point, is that I was getting paragraph text way too much. So the next big thing that happened, it's important to note that Jack was homeschooled, okay? After we dated in kindergarten, he was homeschooled and really didn't have a ton of interaction with civilization. And I'm sure that was the root of some of the problems, but that's not my problem. The next thing that happened was homecoming. Homecoming is not a big deal at my school. They don't do anything for homecoming. We literally all show up in like a t-shirt and sweatpants and play like beach volleyball, and they get a bouncy house. Like, it's not a big deal. They normally have it at someone's house, or like they did it at a summer camp last year. So that was cool. I didn't go. I made the mistake. I made the mistake of making the comment that I've never been proposed to, and I was like, yeah, your ex, your best friend never proposed. Well, actually he did. I was just like, I never got like a big poster, and I only said that because we saw someone's Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's so cute, like no one's ever done that. Like, I was just being pick-me, okay? I was just being pick-me. I'm never pick-me like that. I was little girl. I was being little girl, okay? Let me be little girl for once. And he was like, oh, don't worry, baby, I'll make you like a big poster. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. But actually don't, because homecoming isn't a big deal. And I said that several times. He did it anyways. He made 2 posters, and he made it known to me that there were 2 posters several times. There was one that was cute, and I could post it on my Instagram. And there was another one that was a little devious, and I shouldn't let my mom see. And I was like, what the fuck did you put on this poster? Like, literally, what did you put on this poster that's so bad that I can't put on my Instagram or I'm gonna get expelled? Because that was the criteria for the second poster, from what I understand. And he was like, no, it's not that bad. It's just like, maybe don't let your mom see. What do you mean? And so I was just like, no, I didn't want the one poster. Don't do either, because we're like, this isn't even a thing. And then Karen decides that because our homecoming is so stupid, she was gonna have her own party at her house for my grade to boycott. And so I was like, no, I'm going to Karen's party instead. We're not even going to homecoming, so don't do it. And then he's like, well, I already made the posters. We end up getting in a really big fight the day before homecoming. I was gonna go to the game anyways, and I told him don't come. Like, I was just like, don't even come. Okay, so at the game, I keep readjusting the camera and this comes back on my shoulder, and it's not slutty if it's not off my shoulder, so at the game, it was an alumni game, and I reconnected with an old friend of mine, and we hung out on the playground, okay? That's important in a second. The day after, which would be, the homecoming game was on a Friday, the day after was a Saturday, which is when Karen's party was gonna be. And so I go, and the only other person that shows up is another girl from our school that, like, we were kind of friends with, and the only reason she came over is because her boyfriend broke up with her and she didn't want to be at the homecoming party. So we had, like, all of this shit for a big party. We just ate all of it. That girl comes over, she had just gotten broken up with, and the only thing Karen can talk about is Jack. She's talking about Jack the entire time. Literally. Okay. Lord, give me strength. I can't. Okay. She's talking about Jack the whole time, and Jack and I are still fighting. We're like text arguing, and she's snapping him with like the dog filter on Snapchat, like, and he's snapping her back. He's snapping her back. Oh my god. I was so pissed. And I'm telling him like I'm gonna fight. I'm like, pull up. Where you at? You know where I'm at. Come on, pull up. And he's like, I don't think that's a good idea. We're both at an emotionally heightened state right now. This wouldn't be good for either one of us. Please. I think that would have been very therapeutic for one of us. What's really important is the next day, Sunday, I'm talking to Karen, like, we talk every day, we're best friends, and then she lets it slip that Jack asked where I was Friday night. He asked where I was Friday night, and I was like, oh my god, he went to that game. And no, she's like, no. I'm like, well, like, he was checking my location at least, but like, I'm pretty sure he went to that game anyways, after I specifically told him not to. Like, literally, like, why would he be there? And I still don't know to this day whether he went there or not, okay? If you see this, comment down below. So then begs the question, why didn't you tell me Friday night that Jack was asking where I was at? And she's like, well, he asked me not to. Oh, he asked you not to. Okay, this all makes sense. I just blew I have a plastic thing in my nose right now to hold the space, and I just blew that out of my nose. That's how mad I am. So now I'm pissed at Karen because I'm like, why were you covering for Jack? They hung out a lot. Like, the three of us hung out a lot. They considered each other good friends. Karen was like, he's just a good friend, and like, he asked me not to. Like, I don't understand. Like, she made the comment that she was being a good friend by telling me now. She was being a good friend because she didn't tell him I was on the playground with another guy. I was on the playground with another boy. We held hands. No, we didn't. Like, what do you think? Literally, what do you think? Nothing happened on the playground. You're not being some, like, good Samaritan by not telling him that. You would have been a good Samaritan by, like, not answering him in the first place. By, like, telling me 3 days ago when this happened. And I'm just like, what next? What next? And it gets so much worse. I got so mad at him. Like, why are you stalking me? Like, did this not just happen 2 months ago? And you were, like, begging me not to break up with you over it? Like, I wasn't even considering it then, but like, now it's getting kind of weird. Jack and I got in a huge fight, and he started blowing up my phone. Like, the paragraphs I talked about before were nothing compared to what was happening. It was every day at school. I was getting, like, blown up. This was probably like 3 days in a row, blowing up my phone with texts and calls. And there was only one that I picked up. It got me in trouble, and so I left the class to go to the bathroom, and I answered the phone, and I'm like, seriously, if you fucking call me again, I will I'm breaking it off right here and now. Like, I literally don't care. I literally don't care. Just, like, do not call me again. I was seething, and I am now thinking about it again. I should have been meaner, to be honest. That was the worst day of my life. No, it wasn't. It's coming up. And we just kept fighting, because this is what happens when you date teenage boys. Snuggie gets it. He would Google every problem that he had. Like, he was like the hypochondriacs, but like mentally. And he thought that, like, oh, I do this because of this. And it's like, no, you do this because you're an asshole. And Google can't explain that. But he would, like, Googled attachment styles. And attachment styles are the bane of my existence. And diagnosed me with an avoidant attachment style, which actually I was pretty confrontational, so suck on that. And he had an anxious attachment style. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of you. Just a little. That is what he blamed on everything. He blamed it on the anxious attachment style and his mother. So I guess I have both of them to blame too. But he literally used that as an excuse for everything. So when we'd be fighting, he'd be like, it's just my attachment style, baby. This was the guy that called me babe all the time, if you're trying to connect the dots. So, I called him because I finally broke down, and I'm like, I need to break up with him right now. And it was at the point, there were so many instances where, like, I was, like, scared that he was stalking me, and he said a lot of crazy things over the phone. Like, there was the infamous text, and I really hope I can find it, because we were in a fight, and he was like, no, stop the fighting. I know you. It's us till the end. Like, he really thought we were getting married, and he made the comment, till death do us part. And literally someone could break in my house and put a gun to my head right now, and nothing would scare me more than this man, where that was like after like 3 months, and he was saying like, till death do us part. What? Like, I know some people do, but we were 17. We were babies. That's insane to me. And that's not my fear of commitment coming through. That's just something totally different. So I call him back. This is actually going to be the longest story time in the history of the whole freaking world. And I'm sorry for that. But I hope you're invested now, because it just keeps getting better. The point of all of that, like, I was, like, honestly kind of scared by some of the stuff he was saying, and I'll find the text if I can. It no longer became plausible for me to go see him in person, because I was like, I honestly don't know what he's gonna pull. And honestly, my mom was like, no, like, you can't go in person. This is really weird. And so I was just like, fine, I'll call him. He can get what he wants. And so I called him, break up with him, and he didn't answer. And like, at this point, like, if you got a phone call, you pretty much knew what it was about. And so I get a phone call back a couple hours later, and he's like, well, he texted me first, and he was like, sorry, I was at therapy. Keep in mind, when he was pulling all of this, I convinced him to go to therapy, and I didn't think that it worked. And then I found out the day that we break up that he was going to therapy. I think that was a lie. I think it was a lie, because I really hadn't heard much about it before, but what do I know? So he calls me back, and he's like, basically told me that everything was my fault. Like, this was a completely different man on the phone. Made everything no longer his mother, but it was my fault. Shame on me for playing mommy. And sometimes I tell you guys things, and it doesn't really register in my brain that I just said that until I say it out loud, and then I'm like, oh my god, but y'all are chill. Y'all are rocking with me, apparently. I don't know. He blamed it all on me and told him that, like, it was all my fault, and he was really trying to work hard at making things better, and I was just making it so, just not being a good person. And honestly, that's a complete lie. I was really mad at bro lying on the phone. That's where I'm going with this. I chewed this man out on the phone. I mean, I took responsibility for stuff that I did, but the things he was blaming me for was not my fault. And when I tell you, I ripped this man a new asshole and then broke up with him. But he was so calm on the phone when he was telling me everything I did. It didn't occur to me until later that there was probably someone else there. Maybe his imaginary therapist, maybe my ex who told me it was all my fault a couple months later. Who's to say? After he broke up with me was the dilemma of the Doja Cat tickets. Now, I made a brief, not so brief story time about this before, where this is the man that tried to fight my dad, and he bought me $2,000 Doja Cat tickets after dating for a month. And so then there's a dilemma. What do we do with those? What do we do? Well, Karen sure had an idea. She was like, what if I finesse the tickets? And when you're at lunchtime and you're bored at school and you like to play pretend because you're a little girl, you're like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. Definitely do it, because that'd be really funny. But I didn't think she was serious. So apparently bro had been texting Jack this whole time, like weeks after we broke up. They were still buddy, they were still friends. And it's like, did you not know that you were friends because of me? Not saying that they should stop being friends because we broke up, even though I am. I'm like, you should be not friends with him anymore because you know exactly what he did. And you watched the situation play out. And you know who's always right. No, but I actually was this time. And so I was upset that she was still talking to him, but like, I didn't say anything. I was like, she's grown. She's a grown-ass woman. She can make her own decisions. Like, I can't tell her what to do. And I didn't want to. She tried to console both of us. She stayed friends with both of us. It was just a recipe for a bad situation. The thing is, I wasn't super suspicious. All those red flags I was telling you about, they're leading up to something big. Real big. But I was like, not connecting the dots here because, hello, we've killed off a couple brain cells in our day, okay? And so she's showing me like stuff that he's sending her and laughing at it. And so I'm like, oh, like she's just like kind of messing with him, and I think it's kind of mean and I don't really agree with it, but I was mad because we broke up a couple weeks ago, and so I was like, go for it, be my guest, because I didn't want to tell her that it was pissing me off, because I'm like, no, that's bitchy, don't do that. And all of a sudden now I decide to not be bitchy. I don't know what I was on. The one specific thing that he sent her, and I don't think I have the receipt for this, but I would love to put it here if I did. He sent her a mirror selfie where he was like, and on the bottom, on Snap, he captioned it, "Bitch, I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead." Something, something, paint the town red, whatever the lyrics are. And that's what really just brought this whole scheme home. And she was like, I'm getting those tickets. And I said, no, you're not. And also, like, even if we got the tickets, I couldn't go. There's no way I'd be allowed to go to that. So, like, I was like, no, like, what's the point? But so for some reason, she kept texting him. I wonder why I didn't connect the dots. Ugh, this is, like, seriously the longest story time I've ever done in my life. And this is exhausting, okay? But I'm doing it for you guys. No, actually, I'm doing this for Karen. Hi Karen. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. I ended up blocking Jack on everything, like literally everything on, obviously iMessage, but then Snap, Instagram, Be Real, TikTok. I wanted this man, like, to not be able to find me, because, like, I was scared of him stalking me. Like, this is a genuine fear of mine, because There were more instances that didn't make it to the story, but like, and then he ends up going through Karen. Of course he asked Karen, because they're besties. They're best friends. That was the ongoing joke, is that they were besties. So like, why wouldn't he ask her? And he asked her for his stuff back. And so one night when we're hanging out, I bring him all of his shit in the trash bag. And I thought that was it. Like, Karen drove me to go do it at his gym. We met him at his gym for me to give him his things. And when I'm getting the stuff out of the car, they exchange words. Like, they have a conversation that I have never heard, and to this day, I don't know what they said. But I think that conversation was important, and I want y'all to know that that happened, because it's important. Red flag number 7 billion. I don't even know. The excuses I've heard so far for why Karen was still texting him was first like, I'm just trying to get the Doja Cat tickets. Oh, he just wants his stuff back. I'm just coordinating with him. Then she keeps messaging him after both of those are out the window. We're at her house. She's texting him, like vigorously texting him and snapping him and whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And I finally just say something and I tell her it makes me uncomfortable. Sue me. I ask her to stop doing it and she says, no, I'm doing it because I'm bored. And just like blatantly to my face says no. And at that point, I should have just left her house. But I didn't. And like, I was just, at this point, I really wanted to get along. Ironically, I didn't want to fight with everybody. And so I was just like, you know what? It's okay. It's fine. It's not that serious. And so I tried to be like, oh, haha, what are you saying? Let me join in on the joke. If this is all a joke, if this is so funny, let me be in on it. And she did. And I think that's why like my meter on how sus this was started to go down, because I'm like, she's letting me in on this. Maybe she is just bored and has no life outside of this. Like, then I hear, so she was a dancer, and I hear from some of the dancers, because like I had been a cheerleader and then I stopped, but I still talk to everybody, and they tell me in the locker room, Karen is saying how her and Jack would be dating and they would be going out right now if it wasn't for me. And that's when my meter started to raise back up, okay? And then I hear from a couple other people. Apparently, she's been going around the school, like, fantasizing about this man and telling people about, like, how hot he is and how, like, yeah, they'd be dating right now. Like, they should be dating right now. And she's gonna try to bag it. And I start freaking out. And of course, I let everyone around the school know what actually happened. When I tell you, like, the whole school, I mean the whole fucking school knew what happened. Okay, I had ears everywhere. I heard everything. And there was just a couple stories that made me so mad. I shut down. My avoidant attachment style kicked in. I just stopped talking to her. I couldn't do it anymore. And in my head, I kind of thought that she knew why I was doing that, but apparently she was completely oblivious. She was going to everyone trying to figure out why I wouldn't talk to her, and it's like, bitch, why do you think? We sat by each other in 2 classes, and she would sit by me for 2 periods a day and not say shit. And then once she got around the corner to go to her next class, she would text me like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? And so I tell her, like, when you get the balls to tell me to my face, like, talk to me to my face. Let's have a conversation. You know where I'm at. You can find me 8 periods of the day. We sit by each other for 2 of them. You can come talk to me. One day I've had it, and I finally say something in our English class, and I'm like, maybe if you weren't screwing my ex-boyfriend, like, we would be getting along right now. And this girl starts breaking down, sobbing in the middle of our English class. And, like, the teacher is teaching. The teacher is teaching. She's doing her job. And we're just back here, like, duking it out in the back of her class. Dylan can attest. He sat in front of us and heard the whole thing. Duked it out. And she denied it and said it wasn't true. And I was like, well, about a dozen other people that are in this class right now have said different. So like, and she's like, I unadded him, I swear. And so that's when the girl math started to kick in, and I was like, listen, I'm about to find out. So I go to my friend. You know how everybody has those friends that just knows everybody and talks to everybody and knows everything in the universe? I DM'd that friend, and I was like, hey, she says she's not talking to him anymore, but I don't think she's telling the truth. My little friend, my little link, my little plug DMs Jack. Hold on, let me pull up the receipts. She asked, did you want to add Karen? And Jack said, yeah, she said that Jasmine wasn't talking to her, lol. LOL, it's so funny. My friend pretended like I was mad at her too, and, you know, etc, etc. Jack is like, not like I cheated on her. I wish you wouldn't take it out on Karen. Oh, poor Karen. Okay, this is me editing. I already know I sound psychotic, but hear me out because I forgot to put this in. All of that was so important because I caught her in a lie because she told me she had no idea why I was mad. But before we had that conversation, she had already told him that I was mad because they were still talking and unadded him over it. And so on top of everything else, she lied to me about it, and that just, yeah. Ugh. So, like, she didn't want to talk about it. Like, ignore me in person, and then text me, and I was like, I'm not doing this. This is even pettier than I am. And so I had to up my game. We were partners for group things. I didn't say a word. Sue me, I'm mean. I'm the bad guy. Literally, if I'm the villain, make me the villain. But literally, I had stories from like half the school telling me exactly things that she said. So we're not friends anymore, but my minions keep DMing me, and I get a picture that 2 of my friends took, a selfie with Karen and Jack in the background hugging at her final dance game. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. But I did. I was right about that. And I'm not gonna lie, like, okay, he pulled up to a grad party, someone DM'd me a picture of that. I didn't know that. I didn't look it up. Out of mind, out of sight, out of sight, out of mind. I didn't like look at anything, and people were DMing me stuff, and I was like, yes, I know I was right. Now you can stop because I'm sick of seeing it. And I didn't get the idea to make this video until I got recommended one of Karen's TikToks. It was one of the like last November, this November challenges. Let me just read it to you. Last November, I was crying over a girl I thought was my best friend. This November, I made it a point to not have any narcissistic best friends that only intend to hurt me. For clarification, I never intended to hurt her. Make that clear. Narcissism, maybe a little, but I don't think that comes into play here. And she's still talking about me like I can still talk about her, so here we are. This is the story of why you should never date your best friend's... never date your ex's best friend and let your best friend be best friends with him because it'll happen to you. I guess I kind of got what was coming to me, if I'm being totally honest. Maybe just do it if you want the drama. Like, it'll work 10 out of 10 times. 100% guarantee. Donnie Ray guarantee. If you date your ex's best friend, you will also get done just as dirty. So I hope you enjoyed this like astronomically longer than it needed to be story time. Make sure to check out a bunch because I air out everybody that's ever wronged me. They've been aired out on this channel, I guarantee it, and if it hasn't happened yet, it definitely will. So check out another video. Thank you for listening to all of this. Bye!